Hey, acquisition professionals. This is a fellow acquisition professional. Although I started my career in simplified acquisitions, in the later years before I retired, I did go into large contracting, but my knowledge is still simplified acquisitions. So I'm coming to you, acquisition professionals, Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines. You worked with us, so I know pretty much your acquisition rules are the same as Navy. But I'm just online here to kind of question what you might believe the J&A, the justification and approval for other than open competition or the sole source. What would the J&A have needed to say to make those airplane purchases that Kristi Noem did? Now remember, one of them had a bed in the back. Shoot, I was in acquisitions around the time they were talking about that toilet seat. And I always was on the side of the actual contracting person because we didn't know some really detailed and delicate things like what the material was that the toilet seat needed to be made out of, what was the standard operating procedures for the hood of the toilet seat and the fleshing mechanism and what the dimensions was for the seat to be installed in. So I always kind of felt a little something for the contracting person in that regard, because we know the details sometimes which require some specific purchase, and sometimes people don't understand that a toilet seat that's going in a airplane of this magnitude, and I can't even remember the model of the plane, might have had some particular material, particular space requirements, and I felt that they were being really unfair to them. But what would the J&A had to read for that bed in the back? I'm curious. I don't believe that they were over $100 million. I believe they were in the like $79 million each. So I'd like to hear from you. What would the J&A had to be? And then the $220 million that she spent in contracts on ads. You know, those ads that she was on the horse and she was riding in the prairie while in the background some bulls were riding around with her. How do you think they explained that purchase going to a subcontractor via a large business that had not been in business for more than 11 days prior to that award? And then the small business that the contract did ultimately go to was a friend of theirs, was a person who left the DHS office and established, or her husband had established this ad company, and that was who the award went to. How would you explain that? I remember dealing with Herb. Remember dealing with Herb at, was it Acme or Allied? I can't exactly remember. He was good at getting items for you, but we mostly dealt with him for small purchases or things that had JNAs that were under 2,500. So, this is back in the day. Before the authority went up to 100,000, it might be even higher. When I left the government, the amount had gone up to $100,000. I just want to know how you feel about that. Now let's talk about Pete Hegseth and the $98,329 Steinway piano that he bought for the Air Force Chief Staff Home. I felt kind of woozy the day they asked me to purchase some leather furniture for the new admiral that arrived, and he wanted it for his new office. I was inside kicking and screaming all the way, but they had to write a J&A that was perfect for that to get done. I did ultimately do it. What about the $5.3 million for Apple devices? Well, I think that could be explained for the continuity of equipment, what they were going to use it for. It had to work along with some items that were of that original equipment manufacturer. That one might have flown. That one might have flown. I have done purchases for certain makes like that, and the justification was the continuity of the system or the other serious matching requirements that needed to happen in the award. What about the $2 million in Alaskan king crab? Now keep in mind, this is not a commissary purchase. This was done at the Defense Department. The Secretary of War thought that they needed to have $5.3 million in Alaskan king crab. What about the $6.9 million in lobster tails? This was not a commissary purchase. I don't even think it was a cafeteria purchase. How would you explain providing real crab meat over imitation crab? All right. $7.4 million in department store purchases. I mean, isn't the small business set aside still in place? So I'd like to know a product list, an items list on what those things were that went to these department stores. $15.1 million in ribeye steaks. Y'all, this was not a commissary purchase. This was not a purchase that was going to be divvied among, exchanges. $124,000 in ice cream machines. I don't know. Now that I think about that, I mean, that might be something that you want to install in your company cafeteria. I don't know. Let me know how you feel about that one. And then the last one, $139,224 for 272 orders for donuts. All right, people. This is effing ridiculous.